we're in a period of time called the silver tsunami, which is effectively all the baby boomers that are retiring. They're offloading these properties. They own 25% of small businesses, boutique hotels included. So when we're in acquisition mode, about 75% of the deals that we look at are individuals who are retiring. So it
Right.
creates opportunity for seller financing, for example. There's a lot of ways to get creative with the financing that is really beneficial to people retiring and for the person purchasing. Nobody's born incredible. People who do incredible things simply took the right steps. This is our journey. This is the hunt for incredible.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to the latest podcast episode. This is your host, Terry Knight. And let me tell you, I am pumped to talk to this gentleman here. He's a recent dad, a daughter to Mila Capri. And this man's killing it in the short-term rental space. This man has a background in tech. He's an entrepreneur. He buys commercial real estate. This man has short-term rentals, fourplexes, freaking boutique hotels. He's scaling it. And he did it with no experience. Now he has 100 times experience and he's just killing it in our space. Thank you, Gideon, for coming on, man. You're special. Appreciate you.
Terry, thanks for having me, brother. I'm stoked.
Oh man, I'm so pumped. I like to talk to people in my space and learn from the best like you guys and just like understand how you just jump from tech to real estate and just how you're building your empire, man. So I appreciate you for coming on.
Of course, of course.
So Gideon Spencer, let people know who you are and we'll just kind of go from there, man, where you came from.
Yeah, so I'll give the 30,000 foot overview. My background is in mechanical engineering by degree, but I knew really quickly that I didn't want to sit behind a computer and just run numbers all day. So I quickly pivoted over into research and development for a massive multi-billion-dollar company. Ended up building a lot of really cool tech products, like physical hardware products in the space. And then from there, wanted to understand the business more. So how does this machine run so I can build and scale businesses on my own? So then I pivoted over to operations, and that's where I became a scrum master. That was actually the intro into tech. I became a scrum master and started leading what was called the digital transformation in the organization. So I was traveling all over the world, coaching teams on how to operate. And then I really wanted to get into tech. So like full on software tech development. So I started a tech company and I sold a vision to a buddy of mine who was a phenomenal, like been programming since he was 12 years old type software developers. Sold him on the vision, launched a tech product that returned $250,000 within the first year of literally just releasing the MVP, just duct tape and bubble gum barely sticking together, just proof of concept. And that ripped. And then that ended up falling apart for reasons that we could get into. But then from there, did tech for about 10 years. And then when my wife and I were both from San Antonio, but neither of us lived there at the time because we were traveling a lot. So, but we wanted a place to stay when we were in town for the holidays. So we bought a short-term rental. And with my background in tech, I'm constantly thinking of economies of scale. So I said, if we're going to buy a property, we might as well fit as many doors under one roof as possible. So bought a fourplex, converted all of them into short-term rentals, automated 95% of the business, basically ran it like a boutique hotel. And then from there, the numbers just clicked. It all made sense. It was tech in real estate, very fast paced, 95% automated. I just fell in love. And so from there, scaled up into boutique hotels, and the rest is history. So now we're invested across 7 hotels. We're operating in one. And hopefully, what is it? November 4th. I'd like to have another one by the end of the year. That's the goal. We have one in the pipeline right now.
Oh, snap.
That looks really good. So we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully crank that number up a little bit more.
I like the approach, bro. See, it pumps me up every single time people talk about boutique hotels because it's in one roof, a lot of units, all that cool stuff, man. How the hell did you get your first boutique hotel? No experience, man. Going from fourplex and saying, "Damn, I want that hotel in this location." Like, what was the whole
Dude,
mindset?
yeah, the same way I started a tech company without having any tech experience. Like, you don't have to wait for people to give you permission to do things. You can just go do things. And the way that you go do things is you find somebody who's done the thing you're trying to do and you sell them on a vision. That's it. That's all it is. Like, you don't need to go learn a bunch of stuff. You don't need to map out the block before you go for a walk. You literally just need to step outside your front door and you start walking. And then you find somebody who's done the thing you're trying to do and you sell them on the vision to bring them on your team. So I'll start with a tech example and then show how it maps onto the real estate experience. So when I wanted to get into tech, I had no tech experience. So I decided to start a tech company. And the way that
Mhm.
I started a tech company was by selling a vision of a product to somebody who had built tech products before. And the rest is history. The rest was figured out. And then from that experience, went into consulting and spent a decade in product management, helping tech companies with their strategy and everything else. But it literally all started from just starting a tech company, not looking for a job, an entry position at a tech company where I could work my way up. No, it's just like doing the damn thing. You just go straight for the thing you want to do. And the same thing is what we did for hotels. So the fourplex made a lot of sense. I wanted to buy a hotel. I didn't even know anyone who worked at a hotel, let alone owned a hotel. And so I started calling everybody that I knew to see, hey, do you even know anybody who owns a hotel? Can I get a warm intro? Started calling
Mhm.
people who own hotels. I went to a group that had a high concentration of people who owned hotels. So, as with anything, if you're like looking for someone who's done the thing you're trying to do, the best place to find those people is finding where they congregate, finding an area where there's a high concentration of people who have done the thing that you're trying to do. So, found a community that had a bunch of people who had done the thing that I was trying to do, people who their reality was my dream. And then I started what I call the mentor flywheel, which is effectively you identify 1 to 3 mentors, you reach out to them, you say, hey, what are your goals? They tell you your goals. Then you ask, what are your challenges? And then without them even asking you, you just start working through their challenges. You start delivering value to them. Too often people say, oh, how can I add value to you? That's an absolute trash question to ask a mentor because now you're making them put their HR hat on. You're asking them to learn about you to find where you can add value to them. There are a
Mhm.
million ways you can add value to everybody. Every single mentor has a million problems that you can solve. Just go find the problem yourself and then solve it. So that's what I did.
Mm.
Found a handful of mentors who had done the thing that I was trying to do. I said, what are your goals? And the one who we ended up pulling on the team, he said, oh, I'm trying to scale my portfolio. I said, awesome. What's your biggest bottleneck? He said, deal flow. We just need to look at more deals. I said, sweet. So I went out and I started hunting for deals based on his buy box. Each time I
Mhm.
found a deal, I would bring that deal back to him and I'd say, hey, what do you think about this deal? And he'd look at it and say, well, it has a restaurant. I don't buy hotels with restaurants. So I say, cool. So I'd go out and I'd look for more hotels that don't have restaurants. And then I'd bring them back and say, hey, what do you think about this one? He'd say, well,
Mhm.
we only take an 18% internal rate of return when we run our numbers. And I said, sweet. So add it to the list,
Yeah.
needs 18% internal rate of return. And I just continued this cycle over and over again. Over that process, I had deeply understood what was a good deal, what wasn't a good deal, because I was getting guidance from the mentor. Simultaneously, I'm adding direct value to the mentor because I'm giving him deal flow without him even asking me. I just discovered that that was his problem. So
Right.
I'm delivering value to him. So through this exchange, I'm delivering value to him. He's delivering value to me. And iteratively, got closer and closer to finding a deal until eventually brought a deal to him. And he said, this checks every single box. We said, sweet. And me and I'd partnered with 2 other people when we were hunting for deals just so that we could increase our velocity. And so
Mhm.
we brought it to him. We said, hey, what do you think about this deal? He said, oh, it's great. It checks all the boxes. And we said, sweet. Do you want to partner on it? And he said, yeah, I'll
Mhm.
partner with you. So then he ended up partnering with us. We ended up going in as equal partners. The equity got split up based on a handful of factors, but going into the deal, we all went in as equal partners. So now we're partnering with a mentor. We're not just
Mhm.
working for him for free. We're not looking for an entry position. Do you have an assistant position available? Put on your HR hat. How can I add value to you? No, we're just saying, hey, what are your challenges? We're going to go solve them for you completely for free. And then once we
Mhm.
solved his challenges, we said, sweet, do you want to partner on this thing? And I was like, yeah, let's partner. So that's how we ended up getting in the game. And then outside of that, we ended up investing in a bunch of other deals and doing a handful of other things, just getting more involved in the space and investing more into it because we are very bullish on boutique hotels over the next 6 to 10 years.
Yeah, gotcha. I think even you and like Rich Summers, you guys are talking about a lot of people in the space. boutique hotels is like the place to be, the place to go to. A lot of these regulations and stuff is kind of just tearing down, and you know, one change, you basically out, right? Like one of your properties could be not zoned for Airbnb, and then next thing you know, you're stuck with a property, maybe long term and all that good stuff. But I like your approach, man. Like you found a mentor, you did all this stuff for them. I didn't think about that part, but that's probably the best way. Like
Yeah.
literally. So damn. Well, how are you finding these deals anyway? Like, was it just like what websites online? What's it called? Like Biz Buy Sell or
Yeah,
Crexy
there's some
or
websites like that. So we were hitting everywhere. And a lot of why we got into this space so quickly and effectively was because we brought in a lot of techniques that are popular in the tech space. So like split testing, for example, or A/B testing, effectively
Mhm.
where you test two things at the same time and then you see which one performs better. Then that's what you lean into. So we split tested every aspect of what we were doing, and one of
Holy crap.
those was where we find deals. So we were scouring everywhere looking for deals. We were looking on Crexy and LoopNet, which are like the websites that you mentioned. They're just online platforms for on market deals. The challenge
Mhm.
there is most of those deals are not good. The
Mhm.
majority of deals are sold, or good deals are sold off
Off
market.
market.
So off market, there's a handful of other options. There is going direct to broker, so building relationships with the brokers, and then when they find a good deal, they send it over to you. The
Mhm.
other option is going direct to seller. So we have access to a platform called CoStar. It's $25,000 a year. It's a massive, it's a data trove of information. It has hotel owners' information, everything else. So we'd
Mhm.
call the owners directly, build relationships with them there. Also, you can look up the hotel owners on the tax records, so you don't need this platform. It just makes things a lot faster. And then you can also leverage something called bird dogs, which are where you give somebody a percentage of the purchase price, typically about 1%, and they'll go hunt for deals for you. So we tried that, and then we also tried mailers. So we were just trying every single avenue, and our first deal ended up coming in via a broker relationship. Built a
Nice.
relationship with a broker. They brought the deal to us. And originally the deal didn't pencil. But then since it was owned by a baby boomer, which is where a lot of these opportunities are, is baby boomers retiring, the baby boomer didn't want to sell at the price that made sense for us. So we ended up passing on it. But then
Mm.
about 6 months later, she had some health complications. And so she gave us a call and said, hey, we'd like to revisit. And so we negotiated the price down from about 8.5 million to 6 million. So the
Oh, big
numbers worked after
difference.
that. Yeah.
Hell yeah. How many doors was that first hotel?
So it was a small portfolio. So it was we bought a hotel along with a duplex. So the hotel is 24 units. It's in Solvang, California. It's an amazing location. It's 45 minutes from Santa Barbara, an hour and a half from LA. So there's a lot of really great traffic that goes through there.
Mm.
And yeah, so about 26 units total.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm about to ask you your portfolio because damn, that's good. That's a good one. Yeah, you have five now, I would think, or more. But how many total units or doors do you have now as of today combined?
Yeah, so we're invested across seven number. I actually don't know the number of units.
I mean, it's a lot anyway,
I would
but
ballpark, yeah, ballpark, we're probably sitting at maybe like about 150,
damn,
maybe
that's good.
150 keys. Yeah.
And how much on average you guys are making? I know it varies, right? They're all in different locations, but your first portfolio one, the one you partner up with, how much can that potentially bring a year? So people get an idea, like these boutique hotels are cash flowing, like
Oh yeah,
passive.
once we stabilize it, that'll bring in, right now it's bringing in about 1.1, and over the next year, cuz we're wrapping up renovations this month actually. Um we're going to, yeah, because we ended up strategically, just a quick side note, this is good for listeners. So we ended up waiting until the slower season to actually do the
Mm,
renovations. So we purchased the
mm,
property, we sat on it, let it cash flow. Part of our strategy is buying assets that cash flow from day one because that buys us a
mhm.
lot of time. It reduces the risk dramatically. I recommend everybody does that, especially for their first deal. And so then we waited for the slow season, kicked off renovations. We're wrapping those up soon. But that'll bring in, once it's stabilized, about 1.4 to 1.6 million a year in top line revenue.
Damn, nice, nice. And For people out there who don't know, you're gonna do a cash out refinance, I would think, in a couple years once the
We
NOI
are,
goes up,
yeah.
or
Well, yeah, probably in about 2 years, we'll do a cash out refinance.
and then rinse or
Repeat,
huh.
rinse and repeat. Yeah, and with our strategy, since we're going for appreciation. So in real estate, you effectively have two options. You can buy assets that cash flow really well, but they don't appreciate as quickly, or you can buy
Mhm.
properties that appreciate more effectively, but they don't cash flow as well. So our strategy, since we don't need the cash flow right now, we're leaning heavily on the appreciation plays. So the majority of
Mhm.
our income is going to come from the refinance and the exit down the road,
Gotcha.
mostly along the California coast. And then we have one in Washington, recently closed on one in Tulum.
Oh,
And
damn.
then that's it. And then we have some real estate in Texas, but that's not a hotel.
Okay. I'm just kinda curious, with California, the market's really good out there, huh, for boutique hotels? I hear the opposite, not with hotels, but just overall as of the economy there and,
Yeah, no,
stuff going on.
California is a batshit crazy place. It is a batshit crazy place. It's a wild spot, dude. The politics, this is not even getting political. I'm talking specifically about the permitting of getting anything in real estate done. When I say politics in this instance, that's what I'm saying is
Mhm.
the way it's set up just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. So the barrier of entry is very high. It's very difficult to get permitting done or anything like that in California.
Jesus.
And
Mhm.
so the way that the money there is made from overcoming that barrier of entry. Buying an asset's very difficult. It's difficult to stabilize the asset, and everything's really expensive. There's also a lot of regulation, so they don't let any short-term rentals in the area. I take that back. There's a small section of the municipality that allows for short-term rentals, but it's very regulated, very restricted. And so for that reason, it keeps competition out. And so, really, the approach there with boutique hotels specifically, I wouldn't invest in any other asset classes other than
Mhm.
building ADUs, which are accessory dwelling units in like neighborhoods and places like that. There's actually a lot of money to
Gotcha.
be made there, but I digress. Just boutique hotels because the regulation is so tight on short-term rentals that it keeps competition out.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. It's funny that we're relating in a lot of manners with the automation. You said 95% of it. What are you automating that's 95%? So for viewers who don't know, to kinda help streamline it.
Yeah. So, like the beginning to end process of the guest experience, you have the guest books, they go through their full experience, and then they check out. We've automated, obviously, booking the room. From
Mhm.
there, they get automatic codes and access to their room. So they're given directions to their room. It's basically run like, well, like an Airbnb. They get automatic
Right.
access to their room. They're able to access their room from there, the cleaners are automatically given access to the rooms as well once the guest checks out. And then the
Mhm.
cleaners are also automatically scheduled. So, really, the only time we need to engage with a guest is if there's an outlying experience. If the guest reaches out and they have a question about something, or if they're interested in, if they ask what good restaurants are in the area, etc. So
Mhm.
it's the outlier 5% that's not automated. But even that said, that is beginning to be ironed out with a lot of tools that are coming out now that
Mhm.
enable like AI integrations where you can basically have a chat bot that will provide information. And of course, there will be instances where the chatbot doesn't know what to say. And so now we're talking about like 2% that's not automated for just those outlier instances. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, we're beginning to automate a lot more of it, which is a big reason why there's so much opportunity in this space, is because you have mom and pops who are either retiring or children and grandchildren who recently inherited a property from a deceased parent. They don't want to get into the space. So you have these
Mhm.
people that are offloading these properties. And in commercial real estate, properties are valued based on their net operating income that they generate. It's not like in residential real estate where it's just based on comps. The value
Mhm.
of a property is based on the income that it produces. And so you have these properties that are operating the way they did 40 years ago. And so there's a ton of opportunity just from bringing the properties to the 21st century. But not only that, over the last 40 years, there's been so much change. Like 40 years ago, nothing was operated. Zero was automated.
Mhm.
Zero of it was automated. Now, flash forward to today, 95 to 98% of it is automated. So you're able to cut costs. You're able to be more targeted with your marketing. You're able to do contactless check in and check out where a guest doesn't even need to talk to a front desk person. They just show up and leave, and the cleaners go in and clean it up. So modernizing these properties is creating massive opportunities all over the states. And we're in a sweet spot. We're in a period of time called the golden tsunami, which is effective,
Mhm.
or the silver tsunami, which is effectively all the baby boomers that are retiring. They're offloading these properties. They own 25% of small businesses, boutique hotels included.
Mhm.
So when we're in acquisition mode right now, we're stabilizing, we're gearing up for acquisition mode with this deal coming down the pipeline, is about 75% of the deals that we look at are individuals who are retiring. So it
Right.
creates opportunity for seller financing, for example. There's a lot of ways to get creative with the financing that is really beneficial to people retiring and for the person purchasing.
Mhm.
So there's a ton of opportunity, and then there's a ton of value add with simply modernizing these hotels.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned baby boomers, man. I think we are looking at a few hotels back in the day. Like they didn't keep any records. They were like cash based, so we couldn't really get like correct financials. Man, we're talking like
Right.
books where they're writing it and everything. I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, like it gets a little challenging when you're going through contracts and due diligence, right, for all these months. So how the hell do you guys get through that part? Because you've gone through it like 5, 7 times already, but how the heck do you guys navigate that to kinda dictate what they have on record versus what they don't?
Yeah, so you always ask for all the documentation, financials, everything up front,
Mhm,
and then you validate everything. Everything, everything, everything. So sometimes it looks like really poor financials. And in
mhm,
those instances, it's totally fine. That's actually an amazing opportunity because now you can be more aggressive in working the price down. Because you think of it
mhm,
like this, like you have basically three prices that you're constantly juggling in your head. You have the price of the property of what it's worth based on their financials. You have
mhm,
the price of the property that you're willing to pay based on the upside you're willing to accept. And then you have the market value down the road of the price that you think you can get it to. So, like, let's say
mhm,
there's a property, it's valued at $1 million. I'm willing to pay 1.2 million for it. And in the future, I think I can get it to 2 million, right? Just in this hypothetical situation. If I'm willing to pay 1.2 million, it's valued at a million, but the owners say, like, oh, we don't have the financials, but we swear they're really good. We think it's 1.5 million. But you're like, looking at how you don't have financials and looking at just the market rates in this area, given that incurred risk, I think it's actually worth $1 million. So
mhm,
now you have this wiggle room where you're like, okay, I'll pay 1.2 for it. I think because it doesn't have financials, it's actually worth 1 million. Maybe if they had the financials, they could prove that it's worth 1.5, but they don't have the financials, so it's higher risk. So I
right,
peg it at 1 million, right? So that's what the process looks like in terms of establishing that value. And then after that, it's really just verifying all of the numbers.
mhm,
So eventually getting to the point where we'll request their tax returns to make sure that the revenue that comes in is verified, asking for their itemized breakdown. If even if they don't have details of the financials, they should be able to tell us, what does your insurance cost? What do these other
yeah,
items cost? Because they're paying them
sure,
regularly. They should be able to tell us. So little things like that. And then outside of that, we don't really care about the details of what numbers they're bringing in order to purchase the property. We care about those details to know what the value of the property is. But if they don't have those details, then we can be more aggressive and push the price down further because they don't have proof that it's worth more. And then it actually gives us more upside.
gotcha. Alright, no, that makes sense, man, that makes sense.
Hey, quick pause here. If you're getting value from these conversations, it would mean the world to me if you took 10 seconds right now to leave a 5-star review. Each review directly helps us reach more people who can benefit from these incredible conversations. And if you're looking to buy a hotel or invest in one of our deals, or even if you just want to say, hey, you can send us an email at hello@thehuntforincredible.com. We'd love to hear from you. back to the show.
For these boutique hotels, do you guys have staff on deck, or is it just cleaners and
We have
maintenance
staff
staff?
on site. We leverage what's called a staff light model though. So we push to make the properties on the nicer end generally. Not every market has nicer properties that command higher prices.
Right.
Because that's tied to something called the cap rate, which we could get into separately with how hotels are valued. But you have we push for nicer properties and but properties that don't need a whole lot of staff to operate. So ideally there's not even a person at the front desk. If we
Right.
do need somebody at the front desk, then they're there just during the day. And then of course we have the cleaning staff that hasn't been automated yet. And so yeah, we go as light as possible to make sure that we can cut those costs. And then also the consumers are shifting in behavioral patterns. So consumers are beginning to lean towards not even wanting to talk to a person at the front desk. They just want to pull
Right.
up, check into their room, and have their experience.
Mhm. 100%. It kind of mentioned because you started this whole automating just like a lot of us did before AI. So AI is kind of helping on top of that. Have you guys looked into like doing AI employee where they can help with the guest communication as far as, having that avatar and FAQ and they can just kind of take it over where they have like it's not robotic, but it's more like a personal
Like AI
conversation.
agents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, we have played with AI agents. We have played with AI
Okay.
agents. They're pretty good. They take a long time to train on the details
Mm,
because when you're looking at an AI agent like ChatGPT, it can just source information from the internet. And so if it goes wild and just starts pulling random stuff from the internet, it has a lot of data on the internet. So it gives you a rough answer, and that's close enough. But when you're talking to an AI agent at a hotel and you say, where's the light switch in the room? It's a very specific question. So
understood.
you have to spend a lot of time training the AI agent to make sure it doesn't just pull some Reddit post where somebody talked about a light switch and then gives the answer, and it has nothing to do with the hotel room. So it does take more training. Right now, we haven't found a massive return from that specifically, given that it doesn't reduce enough of the workload from our employees to really make that big of an impact. But I can see it
Mm,
down the road, especially as the properties scale up, where we may see a positive benefit there. But right now we're more just experimenting with it.
experimenting. Yeah, because I think like even if you use Go High Level, you can actually train it, like you said, keep adding to it per room depending on the layout and stuff, and then it can really be automated. So yeah, we're kind of tinkering with that as well. So I get that.
Nice.
It'll take over, man. Game changing. And AI voice, basically, like we implemented that for a hotel chain, actually, boutique hotel in New York. Yeah, man. They just talk, ask questions. What's the nearest, parking lot? Is there a restaurant nearby? And we have it catered to where it has all the information. And they were like blown away by it. Like it helps reduce
Yeah.
a little bit of some of the conversations that they have because it's repeated questions, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of helps on that matter too as well. So something you guys should look
Yeah.
at too, man. Because I think
Yeah, it's getting good. It's getting good.
it's getting real good, real good. Where are you guys getting most of your bookings from? I would think like Google My Business, not so much Airbnb. I would think what,
So
Booking.com maybe?
yeah, so it depends on the market. The markets that we're in, well, it depends. So we have one property that it's in a more rural market. And so we
Mm,
do a lot of direct bookings and bookings on what are called OTAs or online travel agencies like Airbnb, booking.com, etc.
mhm,
For our properties that are in more dense urban areas like Solving, for example, it's a what's considered a secondary market next to LA, but people are traveling
mhm,
there for the town itself. And so for that property, we get majority direct bookings via Google and a
right.
lot of booking.com. But yeah, so you'll see that the mix up is different depending on
The
what is
market.
driving the booking for that area. Are they going for the property or are they going for the market and they're just staying at the
Mm,
property?
gotcha. Are you guys running for direct bookings? I think you mentioned for one property. Are you guys running ads to it, or is it just kind of organic, or
We are
what?
running
What's work for you
ads. We're
guys?
we're running Google ads. We are going to begin running. more influencer ads. So influencers that are either nano or micro influencers, so the really small influencers who
Right.
will create what's called UGC, user generated content, and they'll stay during the weekday when the hotel's less busy, shoot a bunch of content, and then we're experimenting with larger influencers that will cost anywhere from $1,500 to $5,000 per post. So we're going to be experimenting on both sides of that bell curve, I'll call it. The middle influencers is what I call the no-go zone, where you basically influencers that have anywhere from like 40,000 followers to 100,000 followers. Those tend to have a much lower return profile. So it's like either free influencers that have smaller followings, but they're diehard followers. So, like, for example,
Right.
there are some hospitality people in LA, they have small followings, but everybody who follows them lives in LA and loves going and eating good food and staying at hotels. So it's like, yeah, you
Mhm.
can stay at our place for free. We're not incurring an expense other than the cleaning fee anyway. But even that, a lot of our cleaners, they're under a payroll. So it really doesn't add that much to us in terms of
Does,
cost.
yeah.
And then on the other end, people who just have so much attention that a percentage of their pool is bound to be interested in what we have to offer.
No, I like that approach. Nano, micro influencers, definitely. All right, dang, that's really cool. Gideon, dang man, what's your tech stack, man, for these boutique hotels? What you guys using?
Yeah, so we use, well, there are a handful of different good ones. We're looking
Right.
at switching. I would say the best one right now is called Muse. So Muse
Me.
is what makes it so cool is that it can integrate to so many different things. So it's very
Hmm.
customizable. It's very, you can build out a lot of really cool automations. And not only that, with the future, as you know, Terry, with it trending towards more AI agents, having that flexibility with integrations is really good. We
Yeah.
also use a tool called Cloudbeds, which is just standard
That's,
run of the mill operating system for it's
mm,
called the PMS, property management system. So we use that one. That one's pretty good. But I would, if I was going to start all over again,
Muse.
seeing the direction that the market's going, I would go Muse.
Okay, I never heard of that one. Okay, I gotta
Mm.
check that one out. What what type of locks are you guys using for the doors? Is it Slade or what Lockleys out there?
First,
What
well, so
brands?
for the new ones we're putting on, I don't even remember what they're called. There's some super fancy ones, but
Mm-hmm.
for most of our properties, we use yeah, Schlag or Schlage, however you
Slide,
know how to
Slade,
say it.
yeah, okay, how you say it
Yeah.
too. Awesome. And what about, dang, you guys, okay. You guys using any tools for the cleaning? Like any platform? Like was it Breezely?
So we use our property management system for the
Cloud
cleaning.
beds?
For our short-term rentals, we use Turo. But for the
Okay.
hotels, yeah, it's part of the property management system.
Dang, okay. Just balling, man. Just balling. Tell me, how are you guys going to close this? I really think you guys are going to close this before the new year. I'm rooting for you guys. But what's going to get that ball going? Like, do you have to do more due diligence? Are you going to push more, make some more phone calls? Like, how's the goal to close by
Yeah,
the
just yeah, it's really just getting everybody around the table to agree on what the future looks like. So what
Mm,
price are we closing it on? What terms are we able to actually get the debt on? What are the needs of the people? I am the youngest of four. So the skill
okay.
that I harnessed growing up was the ability to listen closely to everybody in the room and align incentives in a way where everybody got what they were looking for, myself included. Because I never had any real authority, right? So the
Mhm.
firstborn gets like the top down control, command and control. They get really used to delegating and just shouting orders. And then you have like the hierarchy all the way through. I was the youngest of four, never had any amount of like authority in terms of what we do or where we go or where we eat,
Mhm.
whatever it was, never. So what I had to do is listen close and I'd say, okay, Joe, my brother, what do you want to do? He'd say, oh, I want to go outside. I'd say, cool. Rachel, what do you want to do? She'd say, oh, I want to draw. And I'd say, okay, I really want to go to the park. So I'm going to pitch this idea to them. Well, we're going to go to the park. Rachel brings her drawing board. My brother gets to play outside and then I get to go to the park. And that was my entire existence growing up, was just pitching the crowd, aligning incentives and pitching the crowd. And that has translated very well into what I'm doing with boutique hotels. Because
Mm.
with that, and this is probably one of the most important lessons that can be brought up on this podcast, with that is you don't have to know anything. You literally don't have to know anything. What you have to be able to do is sell a vision to somebody who knows that thing. Still, I'm not a great hotel operator, like the day in, day out, like how to actually manage the rooms and the cleaners and stuff. I know very surface level how that stuff works. But fortunately, I don't have to know how that stuff works. I just have to be able to sell a vision to somebody who knows how that stuff works, or have an asset that makes enough revenue that I can pay someone to know
To
how
know it.
that stuff works. Right. So it's
100%.
literally just a matter of like understanding what the pieces of the puzzle look like. What do we need? Okay. We need a general contractor for the renovation. We need a designer to make it look and feel nice. We need boots on the ground, day to day operator, property managers. Okay. Then we need asset managers who deeply understand the market fundamentals and how they're shifting. And then we need somebody with top down experience to support with the asset management so they can effectively tell the property managers what to do. So you have all these pieces and then you decide, okay, what am I uniquely skilled at? What role do I want to fill? Okay, I want to fill asset management. Sweet. I'll fill that role. I still need a general contractor. Who do I know that's a general contractor? Do I have enough revenue? Can I raise enough capital to hire a general contractor? If I don't, can I bring a general contractor on my team for equity and they get paid down the road when we refinance and exit?
Mm.
So you have all of
Mm.
these different components that need to be filled, these roles that need to be filled for the success of the deal. And then you just talk to a bunch of people and you say, hey, what are your personal goals? What are your skills? What are your strengths? What are you looking for in life? And if their
Mm.
goals align with your goals and what your property needs, then you just pitch the vision and you bring the people together. Because when it comes to commercial real estate, you really need to, I mean, it's a team sport. Like
Yeah.
residential, much less of a team sport. You can go buy a property yourself, you can renovate it yourself, you can rent it out and sell it yourself. Commercial
Mhm.
real estate, I don't know a single person who successfully got into the space without a partnership, without partnering with somebody who knew what the game looked like going in. There's one person that I know who kind of did it. He sold a tech company, made 3 million bucks, dumped all of that into a commercial development, tried to do it himself and almost killed himself. He said that it shaved 10 years off of his life and he would never do it that way again. That's the
Oh,
only
yeah.
exception to somebody I know who didn't partner with somebody who had done it before, their first round and multiple rounds going forward. And it was a horror story that I wouldn't want to replicate. So, all of that said, if you have a clear vision and you can properly align incentives and you cast that vision, then you don't need to know anything. You don't need to know a single thing. You literally can get equity in a deal and make a bunch of money just from bringing the right people together with the right experiences and align them for a common goal.
That's true. That's so true. So, Gideon, you mentioned that the goal is to for what appreciation and sell at the end, right? Like, is there like a common goal out there you guys all have? I'm assuming since you're organizing and kind of figuring out what everyone wants. Have you guys figured that part out? Like the tenure or
Yeah, so everybody's looking for something slightly different, but that different thing that each person's looking for is delivered on via the hotel in the same way.
Mhm.
So for me, going into it, just to share a bit more about my background, before I got into hotels, my wife got incredibly ill. So doctors didn't
Oh,
know what was
sorry.
wrong with her. It's totally good. I mean, by God's grace, she's okay now. But her, she
Thank
started
goodness.
getting some brain fog, and anytime she exerted herself, it got a little worse. We took her to the doctors, and they ran blood tests. Nobody knew what was going on. We
Mhm.
continued to take her to more doctors. Still, nobody knew. During this time, her health began to decline dramatically. So it got to the point where she was completely bedridden. She had a hard time stringing sentences together. It was really, really bad. During this period, it was a 4 month period. My mom was diagnosed with a form of cancer that had a 20% survival rate. And my dad was rushed to the ER with heart failure. And they said, he needs a heart transplant. We literally can't even let him leave. He was hooked up to tubes, all sorts of really gnarly stuff that I'll spread the details up. And through that experience, I realized how fragile life was. that life is, it's just a vapor. It's here one second and gone the next. And I also
Mhm.
realized that there's no reason as to why I should live to the average age. Like we all have the average, whatever it is right now, 75 years old, and we say, okay, I'm 35, I got another 40 years left. But there's no guarantee on those 40 years. And it's cliche to
Mm.
say, like, oh, tomorrow's never promised. And yeah, we say it so many times that it almost doesn't mean anything anymore. But I was hit with the reality that I actually could go at any moment because the three most important people to me seem to be at death's door. And so with that,
Mm.
I knew my wife, she couldn't hold a job. She could hardly even hold herself up. And so I knew that I needed to build, not just buy real estate, but build a company that buys real estate and build
Mhm.
a company that can carry on operations and force appreciation into assets and everything else so that if I got hit by a bus, my wife would still be okay. And so my
Mhm.
goal was to secure at the time, my goal was to buy an asset that would make $1 million. That would make me personally $1 million without me having to do anything other than getting it kicked off. And so that
Mhm.
was my big focus. That's why I went for the hotel. So that was my big why. As to like, okay, what need does this fill for me? And then my partners, each one has a different need that they're
Mm.
using the hotel to deliver on. But it was through that aligning of incentives and knowing that each person's looking for what their skills are and forming that team that we were able to actually acquire this deal and get it stabilized.
Gotcha. Well, I'm sorry that all happened. Don't mind me asking what happened to your mom and your dad?
Oh yeah,
Uh,
don't be sorry, dude. Those are some of the most valuable experiences in my life, hands down. I would never want to revisit them. Not a
okay.
chance. Would never want to go back.
Mhm.
But the lessons that you learn from being in the pits, like the valleys are where things grow. Everybody wants to be on the hilltops because it's a beautiful view, but the valley is where things grow. So I wouldn't trade any of that for the world. God was really good sharing a lot of lessons with me. And I think a lot of people who go through hard things, if you find the gold in the pits, then it's there. And if you avoid it because you don't like the pain, then you'll miss the gold and it's not like it was all for nothing. But I digress. Yeah, with my everybody turned out okay. Crazy, crazy, crazy. It turned out
That's
that
good.
my wife, it was a nervous system response. Her nervous system was going haywire in response to COVID. She got one of the OG strains of COVID.
Mm,
And
so
so
sorry. Yeah.
since it was a nervous system issue, it wasn't picking up in any blood panels. So all her blood panels were normal, but her nervous system, like what was regulating her blood pressure and her heart rate and everything, were just, it was
Jeez.
going haywire. Haywire. Everything was going haywire. My mom ended up surviving. My dad ended up surviving very narrowly. So yeah, dude, totally crazy. Totally, totally, totally crazy. And everybody's doing well today, which is so
That's
wild to think
amazing. That's
about.
blessed. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. That's blessed. You said the grace of God. We're Christians, but not sure. Do you have like a favorite verse? Do you go to church a lot or anything in particular?
Yeah,
Sticks.
so yeah, I think my favorite verses, they change over time. Like I meditate on
Yeah.
different verses in different seasons. We listen to church right now with a baby. We watch church on YouTube. My favorite verse though, man, it used to be like Psalm 91 has a bunch of really good ones in it. It's like one of them is, and under his wings you will find refuge. It's basically just it's a chapter on David going through all of the gnarly stuff and saying
Mm-hmm.
like the gnarly stuff can't touch me because God's with me. And it's a beautiful verse to me because it's like depression is looking at the past, is from looking at the past. Anxiety is from looking in the future. But if you just stay where your feet are and you just put one step in front of the other,
Mm-hmm.
then statistically speaking, you will be fine. Harvard and Yale did a study. I think Harvard came up with 85%, Yale came up with 92%, but effectively 85 to 92% of the things that you're worried about happening to you will never happen to you. And the things that will
Mm.
really rock you will blindside you so you can't anticipate them anyway.
That's
So
true.
there's literally no point in worrying about the future. Just be
Oh
where your
yeah.
feet are, put
Mhm.
one foot in front of the other, cruise forward, and just me personally, what I believe deeply, what I'm deeply convinced is the way is living in right relationships with others. And that's the only
Mhm.
thing to focus on. Like that's what a righteous life is. It's living in right relationships with God, creation, and others. And
Mhm.
so always asking yourself, how do I do right by somebody in this situation? And just every single thing in front of you. Like, no, don't even plan too far ahead. And I love planning far ahead. Like, I love thinking about what 70-year-old
Listen.
Gid wants and like really taking care of that homie down there. And I back up into parking spots every time I park so that I can take care of future Gid. And then anytime I get in that car, like that car is teed up for me and it's like like taking care of the future me. So I
Yeah.
appreciate planning. But I think the only thing that really ever actually matters in life is how you respond to the present moment that you're in, where your feet
Mhm.
are, and doing that in a way where you are living in right relationships with others and you're doing right by others. And I think that is the singular only thing that matters.
I love it, bro. I love it. I love it. I love it. Look, kudos to you for being a dad, a daughter, Mila Capri. What do you want to teach her, man, when she grows up? When she's adult, when she has her own kids, what the heck do you want to instill in her so she can be amazing just like you and grow and
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 that
have her
she can
own
just do
empire?
stuff. That she can just do stuff. Like, she doesn't have to wait for anybody's permission, and then when she just does stuff, I hope that she does right by people, and that's it. So it's
Okay.
like, first of all, you can just do stuff. Like, you don't have to ask for permission. If you wanna go start a business, just start a business. If you wanna get into fashion, don't go look for an assistant role, just start a fashion line. Just, like, start
Mhm.
the company. Like, and sell a vision that's big enough that people get excited about it. It's easier, this is a very contrarian truth. It's easier to sell a massive vision than a small vision. Like, it's
Mhm.
easier to get people on board with, we're going to build the most incredible boutique hotel brand in the United States. And we're going to own $1 billion worth of real estate. And it's actually going to change lives. It's not just going to be a nice stay for people. Like, people's lives will be changed when they stay at our property. That is an easier vision to sell than, I'm going to buy 3 short-term rentals. Do you want to buy 3 short-term rentals with me?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like, dude, the types of people who are drawn to those different narratives are wildly different. So that's what I would tell my little Mila is like, do right by people and don't wait for permission. Just go fucking do it. Just do the thing that you want to do.
No, I love it. That's so true. Well, that's what you've done, man, since pivoting and since the tech stuff. So, man, it's an honor to have you on, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you,
Um,
man.
what's your plan, man, for the rest of the well, I already know. You're gonna get this hotel before the end of the year. I already know you guys gonna do that. But for next year, do you have any other plans to just keep scaling or take more trips,
Yeah,
make more
so the
memories?
Yeah, the plan is to continue pouring into people. So a few months ago, we kicked off a boutique hotel community to help people buy boutique hotels, and
Mm,
we've already had insane traction in that community. And I've been having a blast just working with people, collaborating with them on how to find deals and everything else. So for the next year, what my goal is to stabilize that end of the business. Like I said, I don't want to ever do a thing. I want to build a business that does a thing. So we have
right.
this community. I'm in the process of stabilizing it such that that puppy just runs without me. And then also, beyond building out a community, we're building an economy. So we're building out an ecosystem where investors can come in, they'll have access to all the resources that they need. Long-term plan is to be able to provide funding to their deals. So we'll have like a financing arm. We'll have an
Damn.
education arm for them to be able to understand how to take down deals, where to find deals, etc. And really just, and then also like building personal brands and everything, because personal brands, there's so much leverage behind it. So we're going
Mhm.
to be able to support people with that so that they can drive attention for their projects and capital raising and everything else. The long-term vision, I'd say by the end of next year, I would like to have the V1 stabilized of this economy, where it is an ecosystem where people can operate, do deals with each other within it, finance things within it. And that's currently what we're building, what I'm really excited about. And then, of course, we're still doing the real estate stuff on the side, but even then,
Mhm.
it's not really on the side. Even the real estate, it's very closely coupled to what we're building with this community.
That's awesome, man. Well, Gideon, like, where can people reach out to you and learn about this community and all that good stuff, man? 'Cause this all seems like cool stuff.
Yeah, so the best place to find me is at Gideon Spencer underscore on Instagram. So GIDEON SPENCER underscore. And yeah, That's the best spot. I'm on LinkedIn. I have some stuff on YouTube, but the best place to
Mhm.
find me is Instagram.
Instagram. You heard it first, guys. The great Gideon Spencer in the house. Thank you so much, brother, for coming on. I appreciate you.
Yeah, Terry, thanks for having me. It's been fun.
All right, guys. Until the next episode. Peace out.